Joining me right now is Independent Advisor Alliance Chief Investment Officer Chris Zaccarelli. Chris, thanks very much for being here. Your thoughts on energy first. Let's talk oil. It's been a great place to be if you're an investor. Where do you see prices headed now?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many risks to oil right now, whether that's the disruptions in Europe based on what's happening with the Ukraine and Russia conflict, to the fact that, we could end up sanctioning Russia and taking their barrels out of the global supply. I mean, ultimately, energy can go a lot higher from here. It's a risk to markets. And to your point, unless you're an energy investor, the risk to all the other sectors is higher now. And that could be a real impact to portfolios.
I guess what I'm trying to understand better is what is the impact to the broader economy? The Atlanta Federal Reserve is looking for zero growth for the economy at this point. Do you think we could see a recession sooner rather than later as a result of this spike?
I mean, I don't think a recession's in the cards immediately, but absolutely looking down the line, even as early as next year, we could see a recession. I mean, if that were to happen, it would be because the energy spike goes up, stays high, impacts costs across the board. In general, economic growth is pretty strong. We are over 3% heading into this conflict. Some of that's going to have to be taken off. The global growth estimates are going to be taken down. So that possibility of recession is now increasing quite a bit, much more than it was even a couple months ago. But I would say we still have a lot of economic momentum in the short term. So not necessarily right away.
Well, then there's the inflation story. I mean, oil price is really underpinning what has been 40-year highs in terms of price hikes for ordinary goods. Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell calling now for a quarter-point hike this month when they meet in 2 weeks. You think the Fed is moving too slowly on inflation, right?
I do. I mean, inflation is really the big problem right now. If you look at the economic data, we had the consumer price index, the inflation numbers for December, that came in at 7%. Then January came in at 7.5%. You're really going to want to look to next Thursday's report. If it comes in at 8% or higher, the Fed's going to need to move a lot more quickly than that. As you pointed out, Chairman Powell said 25 basis points in a couple of weeks. They may need to do more than that, and they may need to raise rates a lot more quickly than they want to. And that's the problem that we're facing right now as equity investors.
James Freeman this morning from the Wall Street Journal. James, jump in here.
Yeah, thanks. I'm wondering about that muddled picture you were just talking about as we look at oil up about 40% this year, lots of other commodities. And as you look at it, how much of these price rises are uncertainty, Russia oil, prospect of agricultural shipments from Ukraine interrupted, and how much is inflation, Federal Reserve printing too much, and now a dovish outlook?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. Those are the two big factors that are moving markets right now. I would say the inflation picture and too much money printed was already kind of baked into the cake. You saw that coming into the year. A lot of the rise that we've seen in the last month for sure has to do with what's happened with Russia. I mean, they were amassing troops back in December. I think there were some concerns within the energy markets, but those have only come true, and we've seen a lot more concern now. Moving up 40% is an incredibly large number, obviously, within 2 months. The idea that we could go up, 50, 60, 70%, I'm not predicting that, but the risk is there. If you start disrupting global energy supplies, potentially the ceiling goes a lot higher. It's a lot worse than just the regular inflation that was already building. There's geopolitical concerns, and that's what's driving probably the oil price right now, I would say.
All right, Chris, great to get your insights. Thanks very much. Chris Zaccarelli joining us this morning on investing around this crisis as markets sell off. Thank you, Chris.